Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Boys in Motion podcast. We're your hosts, Brian and Tyler, for today. We're here to break down the latest in endurance sports. This is episode 11, and today we've got something a little bit different, but very, very exciting for you. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to dive into the wild world of viral endurance clips from YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Now, before we do jump in, it is important to note that we're missing one third of the Boys in Motion podcast. Andrew won't be with us today. He's in the middle of a big move, moving apartments. So we're going to miss his takes. But with Ty and I here, I'm sure the energy will be high and the insights and degeneracy is going to be flowing.
I'm pumped for today's episode. Viral clips are always a blast to dive into. There's no shortage of them on the internet, that's for sure. Today, we're going to be reacting to some of the most talked about endurance clips. We'll be sharing our thoughts on how these moments tie back to our own experiences and the BIM way. So you'll get some laughs and some real good takeaways. Let's start.
Yeah, and like we're gonna be going through all these short form videos, and I don't know about you, Ty, but these are nice because like you can find out so much information about endurance sports and that sort of thing. But I'll be honest, when you're dreading going out for a workout, these are the most dangerous things in the world because you could just sit on the couch, half your shoelaces are tied up, and it's just delaying you from working out. Are you the same
You
way?
just you just keep scrolling, one video after another. You're like, okay, I'll just do one more. Nope, you just keep scrolling, and then you just get sucked into the greatness of it all.
Oh, for sure. And like we hear from people in the community, there's a bunch of people who don't listen to the long form of the podcast, but they freaking love the clips.
That is
Like
true.
Adam loves the clips. I was talking to my buddy Bryn, and he only watches the clips, and he loves seeing you pop up for your hot takes. Very
Bryn, what
funny.
a beauty.
Yeah. Okay, let's dive in. The first clip that we have is from Nick Bear, who is a runner, but I think he's also kind of the guy who coined the whole movement around the hybrid athlete. So the athlete who's constantly in the gym and constantly running. What are your thoughts on that trend before we kick into this video?
Well, actually, story, he was the first ever influencer probably I've ever followed. So I've been following his journey for, I would say, at least 4 or 5 years, and he's just an absolute freak. The
Oh,
hybrid athlete is a great idea, and just like I guess I wish I could do that. Just be absolutely jacked, built like a sculpture, and also run sub 3 marathons. He's just an absolute freak.
yeah, it is crazy. It's very inspirational, and I think it's good because it kind of brings the world of endurance and the world of weightlifting to a happy median. But the crazy thing is, like a lot of these guys who are hybrid athletes are now moving into that world of ultra. So they're not just doing the marathon; they're not stopping there; they're going even longer, which you must love.
Oh yeah, I just love it. I guess he started with his journey with weightlifting, then went into Ironmans, and that wasn't enough. He's done quite a few absolutely crazy ultras. Leadville 100, crushed that, crushed a lot of, even he's coined some of his own ultra races, so that's also pretty sweet. Just a crazy guy to follow.
That's crazy. Okay, let's kick it off with the first Nick Bear clip.
These are the 3 lessons that running has taught me that have changed my life.
We require more silence in solitude than we think. As I gained this clarity, I realized the benefit that this silence, this solitude provided for me.
Sometimes people say, I gotta go out for a run to clear my head. I don't know if it's so much as clearing your head, but allowing you to have clarity into what's rattling around in your head.
Community is forged by doing hard things together. I ran the Austin Half Marathon with our brand director, Alex Rodriguez. And it was challenging, it was humbling, but as we crossed that finish line together, we connected on this shared bond of doing something challenging and difficult together, where I actually started to get emotional. Lesson number 3, hard is relative.
Love
and one
that.
of my favorite quotes is that comparison is the thief of joy. We all start running at different skills and experience levels, and that's okay. But I would encourage you, really embrace and enjoying that journey, enjoying that process.
Just preaching. It can't go wrong with that. Just big lessons, and yeah, like he said, you can't go wrong with that. You know what reminded me? That second clip where he was doing the half with his friend. I remember when we were doing our first halves together, and it's just like, man, that's just the start of a whole journey. It's just something different, that's for sure.
I totally agree. There's such a benefit to doing hard things together and the bonds that forms. That's a big part of the Boys in Motion kind of mantra. I would say one of the main reasons that we're doing this. It's the main reason we're hosting that BIM 5K is to do a hard thing with a bunch of people we love, right?
And hard things are relative. Like, for some, just finishing their first 5K is the hardest thing they've ever done, and that's amazing. And for some, they're trying to go for that super fast goal, like some of us here, and that's another really hard thing. No matter what you do, you could be running 50K a week or 10, and it's still hard no matter what.
For sure. And the one that he talked about, the first point, was the silence. I don't know if it's so much the silence, but there is that freedom to be going out for runs, exercising, doing endurance sports. Like the fact that you get to leave the house, go out in nature oftentimes, push yourself and be with your thoughts, be with a podcast, be with some music. It's a phenomenal feeling. And not every run really gets that out of me, but there are a few kind of once or twice a week where it's just pure bliss being out there running and pushing yourself, mostly in like longer zone 2 runs where you kind of hit that point where you're just like, I'm enjoying the process right now. Being out here is perfect.
Yeah, actually, you're totally right. Like, hit it right on the head. It's like not every run you want to do, and it's like for clearing your mind and being in solitude. Sometimes you dread it, but you still go because you're trying to reach those goals later on. But like you said, some of those are just like meditative. Sometimes you also just want to go alone. I know we speak a lot about going with friends and doing stuff together, but sometimes it's also good to just completely go alone, solo run, just you and your thoughts and the open road, and it's just a different feeling, that's for sure.
That's true. And I'm an only child, so I do like some alone time, and going out on a nice run in the countryside where I'm living right now is very nice. It's yeah, you do get those moments of silence just running through the cornfields. It's nice.
That's freaking beauty. You can't beat it. A privilege. Another thing I wanted to mention at the end of, or in the middle of his video, like I used to watch, like I said, a lot of his videos and a lot of his morning preps, and he always he always preached on his early morning runs, and that would just get me fired up to start running in the morning or at night in the darkness. I guess that's a whole other vibe. It's just like running when other people aren't even awake is just a whole other feeling, and it is hard to do it. I don't do it often, let me just say, but when you do it, you don't regret it, that's for sure.
You're totally right. And you know what? Just talking about it, I'll commit one run this week. I'm going to try to go out early.
Oh, I have to. So I got one as well. So we'll both commit to one this week. We got to go out early.
And that's kind of it. It's a hectic week because we have some vacation coming up this weekend. So got to fit those runs in wherever possible. All right, why don't we hop to the second video? So this video is from Charlie Hawkins. So she is actually a U.S. Olympian and gold medalist at the Olympic Games. I'm not sure if she got that in Paris or before, but her videos are great. She does a lot of content, which is more educational about form, some about recovery and that sort of thing, but a very, very good influencer with some videos that have popped up. So this video is about how to run faster. And this is a tip that I've implemented even in today's run that I did. I was doing some VO2 max work, and this helped me push the limit, get a little bit of speed out of the legs.
Okay.
when you're running and your legs kind of start to feel tired, but you want to increase your speed, go ahead and take your body nice and straight and lean forward. So you don't want to lean forward with your chest. You want to lean forward with your whole body and then bring your knees up while you do it. So let's increase our speed right now to like really lean forward, bringing our knees up, and you're going to notice yourself going so much faster.
That's pretty sweet, actually. I'm going to have to try that on my tempo run on Wednesday. That's a good tip.
That's it. Tip from an Olympian right there.
And it's pretty easy to follow.
Yeah, it's simple enough, but it really does work. It's tried and true. Like it worked for me in the most recent workout that I did, like I was saying. Just kind of trying to let your body fall into the ground a little and getting the legs a little bit higher to claw back at the ground. It increases that speed without having to increase that effort too much, because there's only so much where you can kind of push without manipulating your body a little bit to get some of that free speed unlocked.
And I find too that kind of you try to replicate that when you're doing strides. I find it's like you try to get that leg mechanic more pronounced, and you're trying to get the lean going. So that's a great tip for sure.
Yeah, and she's incredibly fast. Would encourage anybody who's trying to get a little bit more in tune with their running form. You can learn from the best there. Charlie's got a lot of good content. She's the one who taught me kind of how to do like A skips and that sort of thing. For warm-ups.
Well, you know what they say, technique goes out the window if you hit vert or dirt, so you better keep the technique going.
That's funny. I've never heard that before, but I like it. I might use that again.
For sure.
Next video, we have it from Hella Good. He's a TikToker with a ton of really great content. I think the biggest thing about him is, and I'm not 100% sure, it's him or another guy, but they're on like a 3,000 day running streak or something like that. And I think it is him. Yeah. Which is nuts.
And he got very popular as well very quick because he was wearing like 5 different watches. I still think he does that. He wears like all the different watches to see which ones are synced up, which is pretty fun to see.
Interesting. But that's amazing. Could you imagine he's got to be around 10 years of running straight.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Never missed a day.
It's crazy.
I don't know if I want to do that, but that's crazy that somebody can.
I know. I don't think that's possible. Like, and I know we have a friend of ours too in Ottawa, Ross. He's on a run streak. I don't know. He's been a few years for sure. Him and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
It is quite impressive. Like you see them every day, like clockwork. They log something on Strava, no matter where they are, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's wild. I actually saw she was on a portaging trip and she was doing some runs well on the portaging trip just to make sure she got that recorded run on Strava.
Exactly. That's some commitment right there.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, so let's watch this next video from Hella Good.
We're runners. We're going to have a lot of shoes. We're runners. We're going to say, I could have run there faster when we're stuck in traffic. We're runners. We're going to get called Forrest Gump by our neighbors. Run, Forrest, run. We're runners. We're going to say, imagine running that fast for 26.2 miles. We're going to have oatmeal for breakfast. We're runners. We're going to say, I might be able to keep up with them for 400 meters about the elites. We're runners. We're going to try to guess what distance you're running based on the shoes you're wearing. We're going to take multiple showers a day. We're runners. We're going to get so excited wearing our favorite run fit and then get sad again that we have to wait until we do laundry to wear it again. We're runners. We're going to want to sign up for a race after we see everyone's marathon weekend videos.
100%.
That's so accurate. I love it.
Literally every single thing he said, it has been thought of.
Yeah. I definitely love the when you're stuck in traffic or something. Oh, I could be running there faster.
Oh, a funny story about that actually. Like IRL, we went to, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, we went to Montreal for the weekend with some friends. And we were trying to find places to go, things to do. So we were mapping it. And like, you could go car, cycle, or walk. So we started like obviously checking walking distances. And I'm just like, sometimes it was like a 10-minute drive. I'm like 1.2K. I'm like, oh, I could run there quicker. Like it's hilarious. Like, especially in the city, it's just like, oh yeah, I'll run there quicker. And then it was like an ongoing joke. Like, what if we said, oh, it's only 10 minutes away? It's what, by running or biking? Like, it was just some meme we kept going on with.
That's exactly it. Especially when you're looking at like, oh, I got to wait for an Uber, and you could, you could definitely be there faster with the left right express.
And it's free 99. You can't beat it, really. Well,
Exactly.
you put a couple miles on the shoes, maybe that costs you a couple pennies, but can't beat it.
Yeah, and the one thing that he'd mentioned in his video was we're runners. Of course, we have a lot of shoes. I'll be honest, I'm suffering a little bit right now. A lot of my shoes are kind of at the end of their life. I only have 3 daily trainers that I have right now, and one of them is the New Balances from when we were running like 2 years ago. So I'm at my wits end. My Kinveras are starting to blow up a little, and the soles of my Mach 5s are pretty much worn to shreds. So I've got to get purchasing a little bit. Got to tap that credit card.
I was going to say, for a runner, you do not have a big disposition of shoes. Yeah, like you said, what is it? 3 pairs, 4 pairs. You got your race pair.
True.
But, I don't even know how many shoes I got. And some of Hella Good's videos, he has closets and like dressers and dressers filled with shoes. Like, and obviously he has sponsors and stuff, but like, yeah, you're on the thin line of things, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm suffering now, so I think I'm going to need to make some investments. One of my birthday presents was a coupon to go get any pair of shoes that I want on somebody else's dime. So I might be eyeing up a new pair.
Well, everyone's getting new pairs. I heard the word on the street, Juicy's getting a pair of Hoka's this week.
I love that. That's motivating.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. Very, very nice video. I think we're pretty much anybody who's run for like 6 months or more kind of can live through at least a few of those quotes, because they come up a lot in our circles.
100%. Yeah, like you said, some of these are just rinse and repeat. They're telltale quotes that we say on the daily.
This next video is something from the Global Cycling Network. It is our last TikTok of the day. This video, when I found it, I knew you would love this, and I also thought it might be something you're going to try this winter while you're out cycling. So let's give it a watch.
This is a technique that I've been using for years to keep my feet warm in the depths of winter. Get some decent quality foil, simply wrap your foot in them over your sock. Get your shoe, place your shoe over your befoiled socked foot, tighten things up, and there we go. Make like a jacket potato.
I love it. I don't know why I haven't heard of this earlier. Like, I'm doing this. As soon as it hits below 10 degrees Celsius, I'm doing this. And what does he call it? Make it a jacket potato?
Yeah, wrap it like a jacket potato.
Like that.
It must be something from the UK, because that's where the Global Cycling Network is based out of. So that would be my assumption. It's so funny.
And you know what? Bring it one step further. -20 plus cold winter runs could be a thing.
That's true.
What I was thinking. Just the toes. Just wrap the toes.
Yeah, just a little bit around the toes would be nice. But I prefer the duct tape over the shoe, because I feel like running, and even this, like tinfoil in the socks is weird. Like, I can't stand when there's a tiny little pebble in my shoe. I have to like take it off and get rid of that little rock. So I couldn't imagine tinfoil busting around.
And he says, give your high quality foil. What kind of quality foil is there? I didn't know there was different qualities. Like, I'm just going to do the good old barbecue, like he said, potato sock, put it up, and I'm going to try it though. I think, like you said, I can't deal with at least like even like a pebble in my shoe, but I feel like in a bike cycling shoe, you can like, you're not moving around too much on the shoe. You're not putting too much impact. So maybe with the sock over top, the foil, then the shoe clamps it in, it stays good. I don't know. We'll see.
I think this is something we're going to need to report back on, because I want to try this. You want to try this. And like, yeah, fall riding, even in the spring as well, like those shoulder seasons can be chilly. The wind hitting the cycling shoes when you're going fast like we are. Holy.
Yeah, that's the main thing that gets the coldest, I think, is the extremities, like the hands and the feet for me. Sometimes the ears too. Is just freezing. So yeah, I think we're gonna Mythbusters this one, and we're gonna have to try it out.
Yeah, and it's definitely a budget option compared to like the booties that go over the shoes. This is a perfect cheap way to get that same performance.
100%. What do you want? $100 or 1 cent?
I love it. All right, let's move over to the next video. We're hopping over to Instagram this time.
My New York City friends and I planned this trip through Trek Travel 8 months ago, and we were so pumped for this trip to finally come to fruition. We met our guides, Ivo and Angelo, and the other 7 riders, and after all becoming acquainted with one another, we left the hotel for the first ride. Day 1 was a warm-up ride
That's so
with
beautiful.
3,760 feet of elevation gain and 29 miles of riding. Our hotel was in Alleghe, and we left the hotel and then climbed 1.5 hours straight up to Passo Falzarego. This pass is a key stage of the Giro d'Italia race and a historical pass in the Dolomites. The Dolomites are an otherworldly mountain range in the northern Italian Alps. They were declared UNESCO World Natural Heritage in 2009, meaning that the Dolomites are protected due to their outstanding value to humanity and their historical and cultural significance. The colors of the Dolomites change depending on the time of day due to the calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate found in the rock. Once we finished Monday's ride, we got back to our hotel and showered. I relaxed for a bit on my balcony and then headed downstairs to have dinner with everyone. We had delicious food and amazing dessert. I caught a beautiful sunset and prepped for bed. Stay tuned for more, and thanks for watching.
Wow, is all I have to say.
I want to do that so bad.
Could you imagine?
Would be so awesome. I think that's a BIM trip of a lifetime right there.
That is a dream trip.
And it looks so well organized too. It's like, obviously probably comes with a nice premium price tag, but the organization and the sort of like coordination for, obviously it's a multi-day trip, all the nutrition, bedding, routing, all of that just sorted out right for you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is for sure extremely pricey. You even saw that in some of the bikes that they were riding and the accommodations they had. But even if you tried to do it on more of a budget, like just fly out there and set up some rides on your own, it's really the views of the Dolomites are so beautiful. Riding some of those roads with the mountains, with that elevation, it must just be phenomenal.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. Definitely, I would want to do some sort of extravagant trip like that once in a lifetime. I know my one friend, Alex, he goes once a year. Every year he goes once a summer, does some massive mountain multi-stage trip with a guided tour, but still, I think this year he did the Pyrenees Mountains, 22,000 meters of elevation, just like in 7-8 days. It was just nuts. Some of the pictures he showed me, crazy.
Yeah, he's a nut when it comes to his capabilities, and yeah, his girlfriend is freaky too. She runs circles around us, that's for sure.
Crazy. One day, definitely want to do one of those trips.
This is amazing, and for those that don't have video on, it's just like the most phenomenal mountainscapes, like just what you would imagine of Alps cycling. It's beautiful. So the next video we're throwing up, we're moving over to YouTube now. And this first video is from Nico Felic. It's definitely one of the main running influencers on the scene, I would say. Let's give it a watch. This is how to run longer.
This is how to run longer distances. A lot of people say they can't run more than 2 miles, but I'm telling you, you can. I went from always tapping out at about 3 miles to being able to run 26.2 miles, and here's how. The most important thing is to stop tracking mileage. In order to train your body to be able to last longer on runs, you need to build your aerobic base. The way you do this is by spending more time running. The reason you shouldn't track mileage at the beginning is because when you have in your head a set amount of miles you gotta get done, your natural instinct is to get them done as fast as possible. And this will just make you burn burn out too quick. Instead, set your timer for 45 minutes and go as slow as you need to, but run the whole time. It's gonna feel weird at first. You're gonna feel like you're going way too slow and you're gonna wanna go faster, but you gotta trust the process. Remember, to build your aerobic base, you've gotta be running for a longer period of time, even if it's slow. After I started doing this consistently for a while, that's when I started worrying more about my mileage and my pace. You gotta lay the foundation before you put the house on top of it.
I like it. Nothing but good things to say there.
Yeah, I agree. I was a little bit concerned when he's just saying like, yeah, don't track your mileage, don't do any of that. But then he followed up with a really good point of it's time on the feet. The first thing you want to do when you want to run longer is exactly that. Find out how much time you want to dedicate to the process, and then just plan out your workouts based on time, not on distance. That way you're more likely to stay in zone 2 rather than trying to rush every finish.
Yeah, couldn't have said it any better. And even he said, like near the end, he said, once you get better at it, then you start focusing on mileage, which can be true. But even now, to this day, I still focus most of my training on time on feet or time on the bike, time in the water. I don't really care about how much I do speed. Sometimes, obviously, speed work has to do with it when you're training, but I just look at, hey, I have 2 hours to do today. I have 4 hours to do today. Like he said, set a timer, 45 minutes, go as fast or as slow as you need to go, and you just build that base. And at the end of the day, I look at my bucket in a week and how much can I fill that bucket in a week is my rule of thumb.
Yeah, that's true. Especially for the amount of volume you do. You're like up and above 10 hours a week right now. For me, I'm doing a lot more speed workouts. So the workouts are much more defined than just like, you end up doing like 8 hours of zone 2 or 9 hours of zone 2 in your case. My case, it needs to be a little bit more precise around the miles because those workouts are very well defined.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah, like I think it's a give and take, and you got to teeter that line of what's that aerobic base building, and then once you're doing right now, getting into that speed work, those quality sessions, and be fast and free as can be.
Yeah, superb. So hopping to this next video, this is running every day for 30 days, the before and after results from Kelty O'Connor. I've seen her stuff pop up more recently, but this is actually kind of a video from when she first begun her journey, because I think she's on a long run streak now as well. But this might be kind of that first month of her run streak. Let's give it a watch.
30 days ago, I decided to run every single day. Here's what happened. Day 1 to 7, you'll dress way too hot or cold. On day 7, you'll get your first hint of shin splints. Make sure to wear proper shoes and stretch. Day 7 to 5, this is the worst. You've invested, but not quite enough. Day 15 to 20, this is where the magic's happened. You've gone this far, it'd just be a shame at this point to throw away your streak. Day 21, flow. I was a former college basketball player, and the one thing you never got back, so I thought, was that feeling of a game, where you're pushing 100%, yet it's effortless. And day 21, I finally felt it. Day 23, sore. Only ran 200 meters. Day 25, I ran on Christmas, about 300 meters. Day 28, ran my first 10K. Day 30, realizing once this habit is formed, I can't just stop now. Stay tuned.
That's great. What I find crazy about this is that she did this through the holidays.
That's true. She did it through the holidays, and what I loved is there was obviously snow. It was in the winter, which I love to see, people proving that you can run outside year round.
Very true. Not like, I find like at the beginning of, when that season changes, you really dread that first couple of morning or cold runs, and that's what she said as well. Like day 1 to 7, you dress either way too hot or cold. I find like in the fall, your first couple weeks even, you don't really know what to do, how to dress. You're either too hot or too cold, and then you finally get into that groove where, okay, I need only this layer for this temperature. I need this layer for when it gets colder or warmer. And then you also tolerate the cold a lot easier too, I find.
Yeah, for sure. Your lungs definitely adjust to the winter air. And I think it comes with experience, just knowing like exactly what temperature it is, what that wind looks like, and how you need to dress for that.
And you kind of had a little taste of this pie too, midsummer, with the 7-day streak. I think that was probably the most you've ran consecutively, I would say. And you didn't do like 200-300 meters. You were doing quite a bit of kilometers trying to get that count up.
Yeah, that 93K week was tough, but actually when I first started running, I did quite a long streak. It wasn't always running because I would allow myself to cycle or run, but I ended up doing over 100 days straight because I had the Whoop watch, which kind of tracked your strain. My minimum run was 3 kilometers. I had a nice little loop, and that was how I built that consistency muscle, which is so important when you start diving into the world of endurance sports. The toughest thing is going out every day, and that's what you really need to work out first.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot you had the Whoop, and yeah, that would make sense. They're really strong on strain, recovery, and sleep. So those are the metrics that they look at. And yeah, I guess that streak is pretty long. And I don't know. I don't know if I'd be able to do a streak that long.
I mean, you cumulatively do so much more load and work than that. So I'm sure you'd be able to.
Just easy peasy. Just lighter steps maybe, and just keep going forever.
That's
A
it.
machine.
Okay, so this next video that we have is a little bit more ridiculous. It's certainly chirping us runners. So yeah, I was laughing when I found this one. So let's give it a watch. It's from Coach Mario Rios.
I like this one for sure. Let's go.
Runners are geeks. Have you ever seen a runner's body that you want to have? If you see the physiques of people who mostly walk or sprint, those people are way more aesthetic. Running is like sitting on a fence. You kind of want to walk and you kind of want to sprint, so it leads to terrible results. A wise man once said, the man who chases 2 rabbits catches neither. And in terms of overall health, weight training is far better than running. The runners are the people who need a wheelchair when they're 60, and the lifters who don't train like bodybuilders can walk, jump, and run until the day they die.
Runners are geeks. I love it.
Hey, that's a good way to start a short. That's how you go viral for sure.
That is true. 73K likes on that one. This is a good comedic short. I don't know. What do you think about the runner aesthetic?
I mean, it's true. It's the runner, it's the cycler aesthetic. It's that very small upper body, so you're efficient. Really, like being small just makes you efficient when you're going long. It's fair, but I think this is part of like the benefit of the hybrid athlete stuff that we were talking about with Nick Bear at the beginning. Is if you lift weights and you do a lot of endurance, you're going to keep that muscle mass. You're going to be super lean, and you'll be way healthier. Because I know I did my own stint of weightlifting, and I was not as fit nor as healthy as I am now, I'd say. All the cardio exercise that we do is kind of off the charts, but also I mix in some body weight fitness, a little bit of plyometrics, some flexibility and mobility. I'd say right now, all around, I'm kind of the healthiest I've ever been, despite not being the strongest I've ever been, or potentially even the most aesthetic, despite the fact that, I'm still lean and have a good amount of muscle mass on me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I did have my stint in university where I just weightlifted, didn't even look at a treadmill, didn't own a pair of running shoes. But yeah, now I would say I'm probably the healthiest and on paper fittest I've ever been, to be honest. So it's pretty funny to see, but every shape and body size is different, and either the big muscle madness guys are just huge, or then you get the skinny and lanky runners and cyclists that just zoop up the hills and the mountains and just their heart beats like crazy and so efficient. It's a cool thing to see.
Yeah, that's it. And you see there's some marathoners that continue to run up until their 70s or 80s. They're few and far between, but it's not to say it doesn't exist. So I think the fact around, running is going to destroy your knees so you can't walk is a little bit overblown. And I think based on some of the technique errors that people do in the gym when they're uneducated about proper form, that poses as serious a risk, if not a bigger risk, to kind of your longevity as an athlete and as a person walking this planet.
Very true. Longevity, I think that's the key to success. At the end of the day, you're just trying to live longer and be healthy.
Peter Attia, a big podcaster guy, there's been some research and he's talked about it on his podcast, is VO2 max. So essentially the amount of oxygen your body can consume and use in cardiovascular activity is the number one predictor of lifespan. So the larger your VO2 max, which you get through endurance activity through zone 2 exercise, is, and I mean, there's specific workouts to target your VO2 max, but it will extend your life. So it's not something to shy away from. You got to have that mix of cardio, and weights are important. Strength is important, especially when you look at your whole lifespan.
Yeah, that is cool. And like, obviously Garmin, it's not as, or any watch or app isn't as specific or tuned in as an actual test and picking your blood and checking that. But like, even on the apps, they show your VO2 max and they say like your fitness age is either lower or higher than your actual age. So usually if you have a higher VO2 max, your fitness age is lower than that, meaning I guess your longevity is higher. So, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, totally. But let's be honest, endurance athletes is not the peak of aesthetic. You watch the the track and field events, and those 1,500 meter to the 10,000 meter runners are not the peak of looks and physique. I really like the guys around like the 400 meter. They're real freaky looking.
The sprinters, oh my god, they look like Greek gods. It's crazy.
Yeah, just twisted steel and sex appeal. The sprinters especially, but like a 400 meter hurdler, that's a good physique.
Very true. Very true. What I don't understand is that with the amount of running, I don't know why I don't look like Kipchoge. Like, my legs are double the size of his. Like, I just don't have sticks for legs.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, some of that certainly boils down to genetics, but hey, he's been running a lot more than you, so who knows? Maybe you'll still have some adjustment there.
Yeah, probably quadruple my mileage, but yeah, no big deal.
Fair. When you first said that, I was like, Tyler, you're white, he's black. Of course you don't look like him.
Mileage has to do with it too, I think, in this case.
Fair enough. Okay, moving on to the next video. This is from a content creator, Jeremy Miller. This is everything he ate to run a half marathon. Let's kick it off.
This is everything I ate to run a half marathon. I woke up at 4:30 a.m. and first I had a piece of sourdough bread with a banana and some honey, and then I took about 4,000 milligrams of sodium with my favorite electrolyte powder and some sea salt. Then I had about 12 ounces of beet juice. It tastes like dirt, but it's so good for endurance. Then I had one of these fruit bars for some extra carbs. Then I put on my racing shoes, which are the Saucony Endorphin Elites. As I was waiting at the start line, I took a gel about 5 minutes before the race. The race kicked off at 6:50 a.m. I took another gel at mile 4 and then another one at mile 8. It takes about 45 to 60 minutes to totally deplete your glycogen stores during a race, so gels are super important. I ended up finishing the race with a new PR in 1 hour, 19 minutes, 19 seconds.
That's nuts.
That's a great video. I got to give a little applause to that. That is a perfect short, that.
Yeah, that is great. Great bit of information, short, concise, and impressive at the end too. Crazy.
Yeah.
1:19 half.
It's super fast, which is really, really cool to see. I liked some of the stuff he was consuming. He's got kind of a salt electrolyte mix, which it looks like he created that himself, which is nice because that's what we do. You got to make your own mix, like our pool water. And he's drinking that beet juice.
Tastes like dirt. I like that. He's like, tastes like dirt, but it does amazing things for endurance, just like that.
Exactly. I don't think it tastes like dirt. I think it's quite nice.
Quite tasty. It's quite tasty.
It's a distinct flavor if you're not used to it.
And your family even uses it as a sprinkle on top of the cupcakes. It's great.
Yeah, they're a little bit of chaotic, I'd say. But no, phenomenal run that he did, and some interesting tidbits. Glycogen stores getting depleted 45 minutes to an hour, so that's why you're consuming those carbs in a race and on longer activities. So certainly interesting and important to note there. And I like his pre-race routine. He's up early, he's getting those carbs. It's a good mix of like sourdough bread plus banana plus honey. So the mix of simple carbs, complex carbs, and then going into the race, he's consuming that gel right before.
And cool thing to note too, he doesn't overfuel during the run. He kind of loads that up right before because it's a half marathon, so it's within that hour to hour and a half / hour 45 range. So he's more so loading that up before, getting all that out during his run, and then just re-upping. What did he do? Mile 4 and mile 8. So that's great.
Yeah, superb. Okay, I think we're going to end it there. We covered, I think, 8 or 9 total videos, which is really, really cool. All of them were interesting, some of them a little funnier than others. But I like that. I think we'll have to do this again. I'd love to hear from the audience, especially if you enjoyed this kind of format. Please let us know, because this was a really, really fun episode to record.
Agreed. I really like this format, and it would be cool to see Andrew and his hot takes on some of these videos. Maybe we'll do a little segment.
Yeah, I love it. That's a good idea.
Well, thanks for tuning in, folks, to this episode of Boys in Motion podcast. Like Brian mentioned, give us some feedback. Let us know if you like this kind of format. We might try to sprinkle it in every once in a while.
Yeah, superb. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and join our Strava Club for more great content. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode. Most, if not all, of the videos I'm going to try to link down below in the description. So keep an eye on that. Take a look at all the creators that we shared. A lot of good tips and also some funny content that they're sharing. Now, we do want to remind you, we didn't cover too much on actual advice this episode, but we are not medical professionals. So the advice and tips that we share are based on our experiences and research. So always consult with a healthcare provider or medical professional before making any significant changes to your endurance life.
And remember, keep moving and grooving, stay fueled, and we'll see you next time on Boys in Motion.